I was always just a clown, pretty much. Like for my parents laughed a lot, and I annoyed my parents a lot. And then I liked to play with other kids, and so when I was in preschool, it was just very social, you know. So I guess I've been performing all my life, but I didn't mark a moment to go like, I think I'll be a performer. It was more like, this is what, I'm just going to continue doing, you can do it on a place where people just kind of focus on you okay, that's cool.
I live in New York City. 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 Yeah.
I first started acting on stage probably when I was about 4 or 5, and of course the stage would be the living room at home. But it just kind of kept snowballing from there, where I would do shows playing various cultural figures for assemblies at school. And I think that there was something in my mother of a shadow artist herself. Had she had her druthers, she would have been a dancer, and then felt that it wasn't a possibility. There's an amazing line of Carl Jung where he says the repressed desires of the parents are the most powerful influence on the child.
My mother always wanted me to be an artist, and she definitely led the charge for, me going to the school. And, I took violin lessons and piano lessons from the time I was 4 years old. And, she just kind of had me involved with everything, I don't think she cared what kind of artist I became. She just wanted me to become an artist. My dad, on the other hand, he's an engineer, and he definitely did not want me to become an artist.
I was kicking in the womb to the first John Fahey album, who is the, really very, very influential, really avant-garde folk musician. There was just that kind of music in the house, and they listened to a lot of the real raw folk music stuff. And then when I was a child, I really wanted a haunted house album. So I asked my parents for it, and they looked all over the place, and they couldn't find it. But none such had come up with an album that was gamelan bell music and Kejek monkey chant on the back. They're like, so they just gave that to me instead and said, this is the haunted house music. And I'd walk around the house to this piece of music that's about the battle between the demons and the monkey gods, which I didn't know at the time, and pretend I was a ghost.
I grew up in a neighborhood in Paris, Tennessee, where there were, dozens of children running around, and we would go out into the woods and create all these fantasy scenarios. And that was my first theatrical laboratory, because, of course, I usually came up with scenarios and cast it, and,
I was a young black kid whose parents were migrant workers living in a German-Italian community in upstate New York. And so what do? You're going to be a potato picker like your parents, or you're going to look at TV and be Sammy Davis Jr. or Sidney Poitier or James Brown. Next thing you know, I am 19 years old, and I'm taking dance classes, and it feels good. And so it was natural that I was going to go off to New York.
We moved a lot. I was always the new girl in almost all of my classroom situations. So if maybe we hadn't moved around so much, I might not have either become as artistically inclined or as social, because maybe I would have been just in that one neighborhood, that one class, that one school that everybody goes to, and you kind of grow up insular in that sense. So I do give them credit for me being who I am.
I was signed to Capitol Records when I was 14 years old, and I had a band, and I was involved in this improv group, and every time I tried to go for a movie role, they kept saying I was too weird.
I started performing, improvising, and touring the state of Montana, where I grew up, with a drama team. And it was awesome. And I think that freedom, that feeling of freedom of really doing whatever I wanted to, like mixing music and mixing comedy and absurdity and things like that, showed me that it's possible to just do this and have people entertained by it.
The grandfather of one of those children over there made these swords for us, and our mothers took them away from us about 2 minutes after we were given them because they thought we'd put our eyes out. But after I'd played viola on Twelfth Night, my mother found it in the attic, and she gave me the sword, and it means a great deal to me, the sword.